Hello, good morning. I hope that you're all well and that you've had a good week. It's a miserable day in Cornwall today. We're catching the tail end of a hurricane and it's very windy, it's very dark and it's very, very wet. When I woke up this morning, I couldn't actually see out of my bedroom windows. The rain was lashing against the glass and there was this sea mist. It was sort of very Jamaica in Daphne du Maurier. Michelle, bless her, she's actually on the ferry at the moment, travelling from France to England for the Great British Sampler Weekend, which takes place this forthcoming week. We're so excited. Sue, Michelle and myself, we've been very, very busy getting everything ready for the event, and we can't believe that all these people are travelling from around the world to come to Swindon to take part. Very exciting. There won't be a Flosstube next weekend because of the weekend event that's taking place, but we will have a proper catch-up the weekend afterwards. This week I managed to get all the red boxes constructed from flat fold into the shape of the box, and you can see some of them behind me. The floor space in my house is getting smaller and smaller. All the individual items are wrapped and we have got quite a few boxes filled, and we've sent some test ones out in the post just to make sure they're travelling safely, and so far the tracking seems to be keeping a proper record. When we sent out letters for Europe, Royal Mail tracking was very, very poor. This time, touch wood, touch my head and wood, it seems to be going a lot better. Yesterday I started to ship some of our Australian orders, and they're going out first because they have the furthest to travel, and last time with letters for Europe it seemed to take a very, very long time for them to leave the country, so they're going out first, and in the next couple of days everybody who's ordered the boxes will see that your order has gone from pre-order to processing. But please remember that just because it's gone to processing, it doesn't mean to say that your box will ship on that day. We're putting between 50 and 100 into the post each day, depending on what the postal system can cope with in this remote rural location. When your box is actually shipped, you will receive an email with your tracking number and then confirmation that your order is complete. I can't wait for people to start receiving them. It's very, very exciting. Okay, so this is going to be a quick Flosstube because I've got a very busy day ahead of me. I was still cutting fabric at 11:30 last night. The fabric that I showed last weekend, the repeat pattern of Harriet Salt and the panel of 12 designs that Hobby House had available, it sold out, you know, practically instantaneously. More fabric has arrived. It arrived yesterday, and I hope that by Monday fresh supplies will be on their way to Hobby House. So if you were disappointed, please don't worry, there is more coming. And thank you so much for the wonderful reception to the fabric. When I was young, I loved history, art and maths in school, and I would really have loved to have gone to art college and become a textile designer or work somehow in the fashion industry. That didn't happen. My parents didn't think it was a suitable occupation. So for me now, reproducing samplers, working in a craft-based industry has been a lifelong dream come true, and now that we're starting to do fabric, I can't believe it. You know, never give up on your dreams. It's taken me, I don't know, I suppose I was about 13 or 14 when I knew I wanted to work with fabric and fashion, you know, textiles, and now at 60 I'm actually doing something with fabric. It's wonderful, and thank you for supporting me in this adventure. Last weekend I should have mentioned something and it just went completely out of my mind, and that is that Ginny Hand Embroidery on Etsy has restocked her pin cushions. Now these pin cushions are fabulous. They're so beautifully embroidered. I love them so much, and they've been so very, very popular. So Ginny's store is now restocked, and you'll find it on Etsy, Ginny's Hand Embroidery. And I'm just going to show you Ginny's details. You can freeze the video and make a note of them. If by the time you get to her Etsy store she's sold out again, I would suggest that you contact her and ask if you can pre-order one of her beautiful designs. They really are so, so beautiful. I love quality things and things that are done well, and these pin cushions really are. We had a visitor on Friday. Jenny and her husband Tony have come to stay in one of our cottages for the week. Jenny is actually coming to the Great British Sampler Weekend, and she bought me the most beautiful gift. Now I love project bags, and this is a beautiful project bag that she gifted me, and it's Liberty fabric. You can't beat a good Liberty fabric. Isn't that pretty? Now this project bag has been made by Priscilla's Pockets, I believe. I'm not familiar with Priscilla's work, but I can say that this is beautiful, and the quality and the finish is very, very high. I'm sure if you Google Priscilla's Pockets, you'll find out whether she has a store on Etsy or a website. Just beautiful. I like a project bag that has a clear front because you can see what's in there before you pick it up. Sometimes I've got somewhere with a project bag and opened it and found out I've got the wrong contents for what I was going to work on. This week, some samplers have come. There's 2 boxes that I haven't even opened. I've just been too busy to open them. But some that I have opened are samplers that are a little bit quirky. I saw this one come up for sale, and I just loved it. When you stop and look at this sampler, it's got various different stitches, and it really interests me to see a true sampler, a sampler of stitches. Now there is a lot of thread loss on here, which you can see on this these runs of buttonhole, but it's worth, you know, to me it was worth acquiring and treasuring it. And I think that this is something that I will reproduce. I like working different stitches. I thought that was very, very interesting. You've got some turkey knot work there, and then some lace work. I love the illusion of lace that you can create with different thicknesses of threads. I thought that was very, very pretty. No name on it, I'm afraid, which is a shame. This will look fabulous stitched up, and that sort of shape will hang very nicely on a sampler wall. It's different. It's always good to be different. Do you like that, Bertie? Do you like that? You don't know what's going on in this room, do you? You don't. You don't. Okay, the dog's life have been disrupted the last few weeks. We're doing things out of routine, and there's so many different boxes everywhere. Right, I need to get another sampler out, and I don't want any doggy slobber on it. You settle down by there now, will you sit? Will Bertie sit? Will you sit for mummy? Will you sit? Will you sit? There's a good boy. Right, so the other sampler that came is this one. And I thought that was very, very interesting and deserved to find a home where it will be appreciated. We've got some pulled thread work on this one. I thought to stitch this one and it would look really different on my sampler wall. Now, I'm not sure if this has been worked by a boy or a girl because the name on there is Andre or Andrea, I'm not sure. I'd be very interested for your feedback on whether that is a girl's Christian name or a boy's first name. Very, very pretty indeed. And the other thing I like with this one is the way that the needleworker has finished off their lace edging. I'm not sure if this lace has been handmade. I want to show it to a friend of mine who's a lace maker. I actually suspect that this lace is handmade, not factory made. Isn't that beautiful? A gorgeous alphabet, so elegant. And I love working full-sided stitch as well. Very, very pretty. Samplers come in all different genres, and you know, it's lovely. You know, I love the traditional schoolgirl samplers from the 1800s, but I also like samplers that are quite simple, and their beauty comes from their simplicity and the stitches used. The other one, there is no date on it at all, but when I saw this, I couldn't resist it. Now, I think that this is a relatively modern sampler. The linen that it's stitched on is sort of modern day, but I still thought that this sampler deserved a home and deserved to be studied. So you've got lots of black work, Holbein stitch, although you might call this thread work. You know, that is Holbein stitch black work. Some very, very pretty designs on that. And then you've got this panel, which is so interesting. It's a long time since I've done pulled work. And in fact, I'm going to stop the video a minute and I'm going to get you something that I did do to show you. One moment. Here we go. This is Elizabethan treasures, or rather, I should say, my take on Elizabethan treasures. I used the design and changed quite a bit around on it. It's good to adapt things and make them your own. That's something that as reproductionists, we don't have the freedom to do. Let's see if I can get some good shots of this. I like a little bit of sparkle. This is a beautiful design. I know that Jean at the Attic Needleworks is able to get the chart for this, but it won't be the same as this one because I did a lot of personalisation. Oh gosh, I can't see where I'm showing you on this one. Very, very pretty. Very, very pretty. When people come to my home, they always comment on this one. Let's put that there safely. It's a heavy old frame. Okay, so the other sampler that came this week is a red one. And this is something I intend to reproduce and stitch for my red room. And I will share the design with everybody. It'll be available in the Hats portfolio. It's a red sampler. And here it is. It was stitched by Dinah Elizabeth Disney. I love the name Disney. Disney always conjures up lovely childhood memories, although I've never been to Disney. This one was stitched in Thurleton, which is in Norfolk. Love a Norfolk sampler, and it was stitched in 1876. And I have found Dinah, and there's quite a bit of family history available on this girl. So she ticked lots of boxes: red, interest in stitches, a really lovely name in Dinah Disney, and she's a Norfolk. It was a no-brainer that this one had to come home to me. I love this one. Looking forward to stitching it, although I still haven't put a stitch in. This is the absolute longest in my life that I have been without picking up a needle. My evenings have been spent working, but do you know what? I've really enjoyed everything that I've been doing over the last couple of weeks. I was only saying to Ray yesterday that I'm getting a tremendous amount of pleasure packing the boxes. It's lovely, gathering everything to go into the box, and wrapping the final layer of tissue and sealing the box up, and thinking about what the person who receives it is going to feel when they unwrap it. Exciting. Okay, 2 cards. And it's very strange actually, because both of these cards have typed letters with them. So the first one is Florence Mary Dickinson, and the letter inside says, "Dear Nicola, happy birthday. I feel so lucky to have been able to acquire one of your beautiful red boxes. I had so much fun watching your unboxing video when I opened each package. It was like you were in the room with me, explaining the meaning and background of each of the carefully curated gifts. I have been a lifelong needleworker. I stitched my first cross stitch, which was a stamp kit, when I was about 11. It hangs in my house now and I still love it. Most of my life I have been a knitter and a sewer. Although I have dipped my toe into many other crafts, knitting was always my main focus. I retired a couple of years ago and ventured into my local needlework store, Acorn and Threads, which is just a couple of miles from my home. I decided to give counted cross stitch a try. It seemed so intimidating. The helpful staff answered my questions and helped me select a pattern and the appropriate linen and floss. With some practice and some magnification, I was off. I must confess I have fallen hard. I stitch every day and have many frame pieces adorning my walls. My biggest finish has been Florence Mary Dickinson. It is so beautiful. I cannot wait to stitch the samplers in the red box. I have gathered the supplies and am eager to start. Thank you so much for your weekly Flosstube. I watch faithfully and always learn a new useful skill. I love all the history that you share about samplers and their stitches." Oh, thank you so much. Acorns and Threads is a lovely store. Janine is an amazing person. I love her so much, and I can't wait to visit Acorns and Threads, and I do hope in the next few years that I will be there. It's funny about stamped cross-stitch designs. I remember buying one and I found it so hard. I find counted work so much easier than stitching on a stamped piece. And I know what you mean about it can be intimidating. When you put a fresh piece of linen on your frame, it's so bare and it's so big. But do you know what? It's amazing when you put the first stitch in and then another one and another one, and this design starts to grow on this bare, stark piece of linen. To me, it's like a little miracle. It's almost like when you give birth, you know, 1 minute there's a baby there. And that's how I feel about samplers when they come to life. Ray would say that's my weird brain. He's probably right, actually. Thank you so much for your card. The next card is Anne Tong Uffendale. Look at the colours on that. Isn't she a Bobby Dazzler of a sampler? Now, this card comes with a personal handwritten card, but there is a letter with the card that's for me to read. Dear Nicola, what a joy your red box brought me when it arrived on the actual day of your birthday. It was such a thrill to be able to share that with you. Your box is particularly special to me as I share a milestone birthday this year too. So it is all about treats and things I enjoy most in life to celebrate. Now, I know this lady in person and she's not 60, so her milestone birthday was probably 40. It might have been 50, but when you look at her, I think it might be 40. Seeing you in Yorkshire in March was fantastic, but to also be part of the Great British Sampler Weekend in Swindon also makes this year special. Little did I realise that my red box would also become part of it. As part of my celebrations, some of the contents of the red box are travelling with me on my cruise to Iceland. What a fitting way to improve on the already amazing European journey. I have been itching to start them, but have made myself wait. I have been stitching since I was a child, like so many of us in the amazing community we have. I was lucky to have really good needlework teachers at my primary and secondary schools who taught me the basics. My maternal grandmother bought me a printed tapestry kit, which is really what started me off properly with needlepoint. And from there I discovered cross-stitch kits at my local needlework store, which is sadly no longer open. From the kits, I then discovered charts, and from there samplers, which have become a huge passion in my life. I even picked the house I live in for the wall space to hang my completed works. Still a long way to go with that one, but I can't wait to get all my red samplers completed, framed and then hung on the walls. Stitching brings me great solace from the difficulties we all face in life. My work can be incredibly stressful, so be able to close the door on the world after getting home and sit down to stitch is the best thing for me. It has got me through some very difficult times. I always have a hat sampler on the go as part of my whips. Make that several hat samplers at the moment. To think about the girls who have stitched them all that time ago and what their lives were like, plus the history of the period that they were stitching in, always gives me something else to think about. We are so lucky to be able to stitch them again and to bring the girls alive in our minds. Thank you for your work to reproduce the samplers and to preserve them. Where would we be without our needlework history and the women's history associated with it? I do hope that you have enjoyed your special year. Big hugs to Bertie Boo and Hugo, and of course Ray as well. Happy stitching. That's a lovely letter. Thank you so much. I think for me, samplers, you know, out of all the different types of things I do, samplers are the most special. And what makes it is the history behind them and what it represents to female history. These are the girls that struggle through life's adversities to give, you know, give this generation the future and the time and the advantages that we experience. Life is hard for everybody, but if you imagine what it was like for these girls, it's so, so special. And do you know what? When I stitch, it's a time when I think, and I think deeply, and you can't help but think about life all those years ago and to our ancestors who were children in that time. And you know, that needlework is that common thread that comes down through the centuries. It's so special. Okay, that is it for today. More fabric cutting beckons me. I've got to get this order off the Hobby House so that you can all get supplies of the fabric panels. And there's just a few more things to do for the Great British Sampler Weekend, and some more red boxes to pack. There's going to be red boxes in my future for quite some time. Remember, next week there is no Flosstube. We actually have a private group for the actual attendees of the Great British Sampler Weekend 2023, and most people have been posting their activity in that group, so only attendees can see that activity. There has been an amazing amount of posts and sharing of information and the adventures people are having. So many people who are coming from abroad left, you know, some a few weeks ago, and they've been to Europe traveling around, and a lot of people left last week. There's a lot of people up in Scotland at the moment experiencing that wonderful country, and a group of my friends are madly trying to find Jamie. They haven't bumped into him yet, but they've been to most of the locations, or the main locations that feature in Outlander, looking for him. A lot of the ladies are in London experiencing the sights of our capital. London is an amazing city. There is so much to see. It's vibrant. It's just, there's something for everybody in London. Other people have been down to Cornwall. One lady posted photographs from Land's End, which is the furthest southwest that you can go. Amazingly, where we live is the furthest south, but Land's End is the furthest southwest. Yeah, people have been here, there and everywhere exploring. Kathleen from Cross Stitch Antiques has been to Paris. She's now in Ireland, and then this week she's travelling to England to join us. So many people are having wonderful adventures. Okay, right, this really is goodbye. Stay well, stay safe. Bye-bye.